come out.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Creative Spirits Podcast. So excited to be talking to you again with Kate Darnell of Gumboots by the Sea and Sherrie McCarthy of Creative Mermaids. And today we are at Interlude 2 between our seasons, our little season breaks that we always do. We have a little bit of a interlude and one interview. And today we're actually talking about the Creative Spirits Podcast. How meta are we going to get? You know, you're talking Creative Spirits Podcast on the Creative Spirits Podcast. But really, we want to talk a little bit about our process and why we do it. Right?
We're going to talk about our why.
Because I know a lot of people also, I mean, I wanted to start a podcast for years. Yeah, and I don't know about you, Kate, but for me, it was also I need to find the phone, and I need to find the right sound space, and we need to get editing, and what about music, and da-da-da-da-da-da. And I realized at first that this was my way of setting up blocks and not allowing myself to move forward and completely ignoring my own teachings of perfection is static, you know, when I'm in full motion, and the importance of just doing things and refining the process as you go. And finally, we found this anchor, which is fabulous, which is literally just talk into the phone or talk into the microphone, and it's magic. And we decided just to do it. And I think this is one thing that obviously the Creative Spirit stands for, is just do it. A little bit like Nike, but more spiritual and nicer, without the slavery involved. Talk about getting in trouble, right? Now we're going into slave labor and accusing Mike of it. I'm not really accusing. I think it's been pretty well documented, but whatever. But the point being is that if we want to, we can talk ourselves out of anything. And instead, we want to talk a little about the Creative Spirits Podcast, how we do it, what the process is. I mean, are we having meetings, Kate, to talk about what we're going to talk about on every single episode?
No meetings. And
do we have a narrative arc, a plan?
No. Every time we try to formalize it, although I don't know, is this a block? I don't think it is. Every time we try to formalize it, the best stuff comes out when we hit record. So that is I think this is how we make what we do formal, is by going rule number 1, spirit led, rule number 2, hit record and trust. And imagine if we could take that into our everyday lives and encourage our listeners to do the same. Rule number 1, spirit led. Rule number 2, trust. Because I'll tell you what, I could eliminate so many.
And number 3, the magic comes out of the doing.
Yes, the magic comes with the doing. Perfect. Because I seriously know so many conversations. I look back on the torturous conversations I've had with Silas, when it's all going to work out anyway, but we have to discuss, baby's this, house this, move this. It's all working out. It's already happened. This is what I tell people in my Gumboot sessions all the time. This is what Spirit tells me. That's when I'm mostly connected, locked in on those sessions. And Spirit is like, it's already happened. And, you know, I find myself having to remind me of that when, I'm just waltzing around, real life, Kate's real life, going, rule number 1, spirit led. Rule number 2, trust. Rule number 3, the magic happens with doing. And we're living proof of that, Sherrie. We're absolutely living proof of that. And I think you start to conform into what we should be doing. Great blog about shoulds written a year ago, actually, and getting rid of the shoulds out of your life. If we start saying what we should be doing, Sherrie, our podcast it'll fizzle. There won't be a podcast if we start shoulding us, because that's not how it began. Exactly. Rule number 4, no shoulds ever. No shoulds.
Exactly. Stop shooting all over yourself.
Yeah.
No shooting all over yourself.
No
exactly.
All over yourself. And I even like with interlude planning, and I was like, yes, we're going to do this, and I'm going to organize this, and this is going to happen, and here we are at the interludes. I don't know how that happened. Well, it's just life. And we've got the perfect interlude content, because Spirit is holding space for us, and we're here holding space for our listeners as we share this content and give everyone some time to hold space for themselves. And that's magic.
Mm-hmm.
This is
magic. And I think this is the part where everyone skips, is the holding space for it to happen. We all know what we want. We all have it in our head, and so we just run at it. We don't actually take a few minutes to be like, okay, I can have a general idea. I can have a general plan. But where's the room for life? Where's the room for breathing? Where's the room for when I spend all night cleaning up puke, and then the next morning I have two choices. You know, I can either have beat myself up and be like, today's going to be crap and I have no energy and now I've got strict schedule, or I can show up to talk to my friends and we record it. Sure.
Yeah.
Which I think is so much nicer and so much more beautiful, and it's pretty much how we do it. You know, like we have a 5-10 minute chat beforehand. Kate may or may not know what she does, but this time we only pulled one card. We didn't pull cards before the very first one.
See, we were a bit clunky there too. I don't know where I was. I don't know where we were at. We were just, it was a new year, new energy. We were just finding our feet all over.
Exactly. And then we just really just let it go. And I mean, there's children in the background, you know, in my case. And
sometimes mine wake up.
The internet freezes up and stuff. But if we let this stuff stop us before we even start, it would never have happened. You know, if we only waited until I had good internet, well, then I could never do a podcast on the road, because I never know if I'm going to have good internet or not. You know what I mean? Like, it's a roll of the dice pretty much every single time. In terms of children, I don't have childcare on the boat. It's not happening. You know, yes. I mean, you can say that, okay, why doesn't Patrick take them? But Patrick will take them. But I mean, in order for us to have it so that you can have it,
maybe not
having
at
it 1 a.m. in the morning, you know, we do it like, right. And the problem is that in my house, I don't have a house, I have a boat. So if we try to do it nighttime, me, morning, you, then we have in the case that it's pitch black and I'm whispering because I live in a boat and there's no space and everyone can hear me.
And I love that it just froze there.
So, you know, like there's all that you can, but there's all these shoulds you can put on your expectations. And I'm also saying that I don't think that this should be, as the wind picks up, that you have no quality control, that you don't, you do things sloppily. There's a big showing up and I know I can do better, but it's who cares is good enough. You know, and I think people confuse this, and it's an important thing not to confuse.
Yep. And also what I want to add to that is what I was just saying before. Is this a sabotage? But no, it's important that we check in with that and come into heart space and really feel whether it is or not, whether it is a yes or a no. Like, is this a block, and are we, you know, are we keeping ourselves small by going, oh no, we're not gonna program, we're just gonna, you know, wing it, or allow spirit to lead the way? But the block would be if we started to try and program in a way that isn't authentic to us, which this is us living and working with spirit in such a unique way. That's what makes the creative spirits, I was about to call it project instead of podcast, but it is this project.
You know, it will be a project. Yes.
Yeah, because a lot of people, you know, they're like, well, you can only spirit can only guide you so far. Well, no, if you truly believe in spirit, it's not like, oh, this is heart and soul led. Oh, but now I have this in place, this in place, this in place, this in place, and this in place, and this in place. And, oh, but it's still really heart and soul led. And perhaps it is. Maybe spirit has led you in those places. Definitely, I know as I've built my business, there's things in place that I never thought I would use. Enter blocks and sabotage. But there is just that fine line of going, we should be doing this versus, no, this feels right for us. And no judgment to whichever it does feel right for you in how you choose to create.
Exactly.
Yes.
So, exactly. And maybe you're the type of person who needs everything to be lined up and in control, and that's the only way you can create. But the real block is it stopping you from creating. You know, it's like, and I think this is where we often go off the path, and we really try to bring people back on it. It's like, the path is unique to every single person. Your path will not be my path. The important thing is that what is the same to every single person is the type of questions you need to ask. The answers will always be different, but the questions you ask normally are the same. Such as, is this stopping me from creating? Is this making me happy? Is this making me stressed? Why am I feeling these things? what do I truly want and what do I hope to get out of it? All of these things, the answers, it don't matter. They can be different answers. Same thing like when you talk about money. Money is not bad. Money is wonderful. However, if you're only doing it for the money, then you gotta wonder why. Surely there's something else you can do that also brings abundance and money into your life. So again, we often as humans, I think, really try to focus on an answer, and we make things black and white when it's not supposed to be black and white. It's all the colors of the rainbow. Like your color is not my color, and that's fine. But the important thing is that we're always looking at ourselves going, okay, what do I want and why? And am I stopping myself from getting it, and how? And I think this is one thing with the Creative Spirits, was that we said, we really want to do a podcast. We really want to talk about these things. How do we do it? And it was like, you know what? We don't have to worry about the soundstage. You don't have to worry about, because neither one of us has time for that. I want this to be a joy for me. Creative Spirits lights me up. And if I start having to do, all this editing and sounding and blah, 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 I wouldn't want to do it anymore. I'd be like, oh, Kate, I don't know. And we'd be on it, the energy wouldn't be the same, because I'd be sitting there going, now I need to edit this later. But
we
it's
can't
not.
edit.
We
No,
people
we're
love
not
this
here
stuff.
to edit. Yes, it's real.
Exactly. But that's also who we are. We are not talking about a polished, perfect, shiny life. We're talking about your wonderful life. And it's a very different thing from a shiny cage that looks really nice on the outside. And that's and you and coming into your body, and yes, sometimes it sucks them in pain, but at least have the ability to feel the pain. Because not being able to feel pain is a whole different problem.
We're not robots.
And so I think this is something that, exactly, we're not robots. We're not perfect. And I think we make a fantastic podcast. I'm really proud of our podcast.
I'm so proud of our podcast.
Monkey, speaking of perfect.
I'm so proud of our
Exactly.
podcast. And do you know what? I think keeping it raw and unedited, just between you, me, and our beautiful Creative Spirit listeners, this is how we find our people. This is how we find our people. This is how they find us. Because they're not going to find us and Sherrie and Kate schedule a 2022 meeting in a studio to record some really formalized podcasts. That's not the world we live in. The world we live in is now. The world we live in is, I'll watch that at home. Wasn't one of the top rating YouTube videos of 2018 an 8-year-old boy unwrapping toys? This is what people are watching.
Really?
Yeah. That's what I heard anyway.
I did not know that, but that doesn't surprise me.
Do you know what I mean? So we're living in this very instant world where we would be getting in our own ways, and we're all here telling everyone to please, please, please get out of your way. We'd be getting in our own way if we weren't just showing up and doing. And this is what we encourage our listeners to do all the time. And it really did start like that for Sherrie and I. And it really, beautiful listeners, stop listening now if you're waiting for it to improve, because I think it improves every week the more we trust in, the content. We don't have to worry about the content. The content is always here as long as we press record and show up. And I'm hydrated and maybe had a day nap.
Exactly. My tea just popped up.
Seriously. But, kids are playing happily. Sherrie's got a lipstick. I'm hydrated. We're happy days.
Exactly. And I get to talk to Kate. I mean, how wonderful is that?
Precisely. I get to talk to Sherrie. We get to have our own personal check-ins just through buzzing in the essence of these that we get to share with other people, because I never ever doubt that there's at least one person who will pick up something from Creative Spirits and feel inspired to write, to dance, to become a healer, to invest in their own training, to read a book, to do something for them. And that's what we're all about. You, embracing all of you, being kind to all of you, and doing something for you. And I think Sherrie and I just knew and Spirit knew that, ta-da, here we come, and we will come and serve and give and do, and it will be win-win for us all.
Exactly. And I think this is also something where you just said about showing up and sharing. I mean, it also is very vulnerable because we haven't staked out beforehand, what we're allowed to say, what we're not allowed to say. Sometimes we say stuff on Google. But I also think that also means the messiness of it, like you said, hopefully resonates with some of our listeners going, like, yeah, it's a bit messy, but that's how I feel right now. And no one ever talks about that part. Everyone always talks about the shiny part. They talk about what happens afterwards. It's always the concentration on the beautiful butterfly and all the fantastic things, instead of talking about the actual gunky goo part. And I'm always quite shocked sometimes, like, when we talk and we're like, whoa, like, that's where I am. Why do I feel crazy like I'm the only person doing it, when just having one connection with you obviously shows other people feeling that too? Because if you're feeling it and I'm feeling it, how many others are feeling it and just not saying it? And it's about just showing up in just vulnerable space. Exactly. Well, we often heal ourselves on this.
That's exactly what I was
other people can
say.
Witness and listen and be like, whoa, I'm not alone.
The showing up, it's definitely like those mind-blowing moments. I have them all the time. I had them last recording. I'm having them right now, where you go, oh, yeah. We're healing one another. We're healing ourselves just by doing work that lights us up, just by honoring what lights us up. Does this light us up? Yes, it does. Does the content light us up by us trusting in spirit and just pressing record? Yes, it does. Does this light other people up? Well, yeah, it does. Although, a side note, I don't even know, because I don't look at the stats. I don't know who's listening. I just trust that, there's people who are like, yeah, I heard that podcast. Yeah, that's good. Or I found you via the podcast. Or my beautiful soulies who support me wholeheartedly and will listen and chime in or quote me, or you, Sherrie. And I go, what? Where was that? Was that a dream? Did I do that? It's amazing. But what I just wanted to add to that, or did I not want to add to that? Yes, what I wanted to add to that, what I love about Creative Spirits podcast and chatting with you, is that it gives me a space at a lot of my FaceTime, my screen time. A lot of times I do lives, or I'm connecting with my beautiful Gumboots clients. It's often when I'm connected and tuned in, like very much ready to devote and provide space to that person. So very locked in. So I'm like, hello, how you going? Okay, let's get to work. So I feel like what Creative Spirits Podcast offers for me is that you're getting a very real Kate, and you get a very real Kate via Gumboots by the Sea. But Gumboots by the Sea was created by Spirit. And Gumboots by the Sea is a very important boundary for me to truth bomb the crap out of the spiritual healing empowerment session. And here it's like, well, I get to truth bomb the crap, but I get to be a little bit more bumbly, and I get to dabble into spirit, but also give Kate's say and speak, where very much Gumboots is like, I'm locked in. This is what spirit says. I've said it. How does that work for you? Because I don't really know what I just said. Do you know what I mean? It's a very different, that's a whole nother episode, isn't it? Like
exactly. Yes.
How that
you're in
difference.
Spirit.
Yeah. Yes. When I'm in spirit, versus when I am the spirit versus Kate.
Exactly. And this is the Kate. I'm going to lose my batteries. You might have to wrap up without me.
Okay, we're going to wrap up. It's 12:12, and I'm rambling on and having all these awakening moments, and Sherrie's losing a battery. Yin and yang. That's Kate and Sherrie. We've had an amazing time. I love you all so much. Sherrie does as well. So for that, we're going to say good night. And yeah, pretty much that's the perfect interlude, letting you all know that we're exactly where we need to be. You're exactly where you need to be. And all it takes is some trusting you, leaning in and trusting in spirit, and trusting in the magic of just doing. Namaste, beautiful souls. Love you all so much. And you'll see a really real Kate and a really real Sherrie here again next week on the Creative Spirits podcast. Good night.